the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. All together now, let's begin. Let the show begin.
So Roger's a really interesting character, and we met in Tokyo. You came to our Japan event, and he told me about this dream that he had, and I thought the dream was so bold and so amazing, you know, that I said, you have to come and talk about it. But before we do that, I want to sort of pick your brain about the finance business that you're in, right? So you basically co-led dozens of travel and travel tech deals. You did the IPO of Air New Zealand. You did BA's acquisition of 25% of Qantas. And then you did, I mean, so many. You sold travel.com.au and lastminute.com.au to Expedia. So what are your thoughts on what's happening in the MAA space in travel right now? And what's your outlook for the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think channeling Tom Cruise in Jerry Maguire, you know, it's all about the money. And you've got to ask...
He said, show me the money.
He did say, show me the money. I was just checking whether you remembered. So you've got to ask yourself, who's actually got the money? Because if you think about the current circumstances that travel is in, you've got 2 of the 3 GDSs actually don't have the capability, financial capability to buy anything. You've got the major platform companies that are household names, several of them trading on 4, 5, 6 times current year earnings. Private equity's got a lot of money, but really, if you want to sell your business, it used to take 6 months, then it was 12, now it's 18. If you're profitable, you'll find someone to buy it. But if you're like most tech companies out there and you're going to get to break even next year, you're probably not going to sell your business on a multiple of revenues. It's a difficult environment. So I tend to look at it through the lens of a corporate because I chair some businesses. You know, we buy businesses that are accretive to our earnings that make money. With my Northridge Partners hat on, when we advise companies that aren't making money or are maybe breaking even, the best path to exit right now is to merge with someone quite similar, because if you're venture capital backed, often your venture capital investors don't want to sell at a loss right now. They would rather roll into a bigger organization and continue to grow.
So do you drive the mergers? Do you suggest to them and say, well, why don't you merge with this one?
Oh, all the time, all the time. Yeah, but we try and look at it through the lens of an owner and an operator, not just finance people trying to do a deal. The industrial logic has to be really sound.
Right. So you also chair a Webjet, and that's just demerged, right, into the consumer operations, which is Webjet, B2C, and then the business operations is Webbeds, right? And so are we going to see much more consolidation? I mean, what are you more excited about, the B2C space or the B2B space right now?
Well, it's a bit of a telling question because I opted to go with the B2B business rather than the B2C business, and you know the thesis behind that is really simple. This particular B2B, the bed bank that I chair, has got TTV or GMV of about 5 billion Aussie, but only about 0.8% of the world market. So you know, we want to double that in the next 5 years, and we'll still be less than 2%. Whereas if you're in a, you know, the constrained business that the B2C business we have, which is a fantastic little money earner, you know, has a share of the market that won't enable it to keep growing at high velocity.
Right. So we've been hearing a lot of rumors about travel brands looking at pondering IPOs in the next couple of years. I mean, in India, lots are going IPO, but in Southeast Asia, not so much, right? But rumors. You've heard those rumors?
Sure. Yeah.
Can you share some of those rumors with us?
No.
Okay. What would be your advice if they were rumored to be pondering IPOs?
Aussie. Look, the Australian market has grown 5 or 6 global travel and travel tech stocks. You've got an institutional base that actually understands how online travel works and travel generally. You've got a bunch of absolutely global companies operating from there. We've trained the market over the last 20 years. It's actually open for business and wants great Southeast Asian companies to list there. And it's about 1/3 of the cost of NASDAQ or, you know, a US stock exchange. So I'm not saying you have to go to ASX, but it should be in your consideration set.
All right. So one of the philosophies of the next generation, which is, I guess, an optimistic view of the world, is that we need to have rich people, bankers, care more about things other than numbers, business growth and revenues, right? So get rich people, because people listen to rich people. And then get rich people to really care about helping people and creating a better world, okay? Which is what you're doing with Technology Queenstown, right? So what you want to do is you want to transform a popular tourism spot into a tech ecosystem. And you said it was during COVID that the idea came to you. And we have some amazing photos of Queenstown here. So,
No more Gandalf.
you are the Gandalf of travel tech. I told you that already. So, yeah, so tell us what happened during COVID that transformed you into a nice person to want to do this.
Well, so during COVID, when COVID struck, I was on the board of Tourism New Zealand, where I was deputy chair, and I was chairing Webjet. And, you know, out of the blue, we all got caught. We all thought it was SARS or MERS and we were going to be just fine. And suddenly the $100 million we had in the bank at Webjet was not enough. And when the CEO rang me up and said, look, we've got about 4 weeks to live, we all convened in Melbourne and we came up with a plan to refinance the business and totally rebuild it. And when I got back after not sleeping for a month and raising, you know, the thick end of $500 million, thinking I was just going to rest for a while, I suddenly realised that my hometown was absolutely on its knees. And the way it started to manifest itself, if you remember, New Zealand shut its borders, it was a hard close.
Yes.
So all those foreign visitors stopped coming. First there was financial stress, and then there was marital stress, and then as this, you know, we had thousands of foreign workers stuck there, some without homes, some living on the street, everyone eating food parcels, and then people started to take their own lives. It was really serious, and so I went back and forth to Wellington, the capital, saying, someone needs to do something about this. We can diversify this economy. I'm up for it if you'll back us. And it just occurred to me that when we did the maths, we've got a $4 billion Kiwi economy. Tourism was 60% of GDP. That is not a sustainable economy because, as Peter Harbison said earlier, it will happen again at some point. So it turned out that wasn't the government's cup of tea, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And with the backing of my colleagues at Northridge Partners and a cohort of pretty powerful corporates, we formed a not-for-profit called Technology Queenstown, which aims to build 20% of GDP, around about $1 billion a year, by 2043 out of tech. And so we've got quite a well-thought-out, quantitative plan for getting there, and it frankly has taken over my life. You sort of become public property when you do this stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But I just feel when you get to a certain point in life, you have to do these things. Somebody has to stand up because already they've forgotten.
Yeah.
A lot of people have forgotten already. You have to stand up and do something about it, and that's what we're doing.
Fantastic, you know, so isn't that wonderful? But because you're a banker, so you think about things, right? And you got to make it work financially. Okay, these numbers are nice, but how are you actually going to do it? So are there any places out there that are your benchmarks that you've, you know, done well and you say, okay, we could emulate this model?
Yeah, actually, so I think it's very important when you live in a small town to be very well prepared, very quantitative in your approach. Don't generalize and kind of get grandiose plans and goals without being very, very fact-based. So the first thing we did was the COVID tour of the Rockies. And so right in the middle of COVID, I rented a car and I went from Portland, Oregon to Bend, Oregon, which is a great model for what we want to do. It's quite sustainable. Up to Spokane, Washington, over to Bozeman, down to Denver, to Boulder, right across the Rockies to Durango, all the way up to Telluride and Aspen. And we saw the town clerk, the mayor, the venture funds, the accelerator, the investor, and asked, why have you been successful or why have you failed? And so we got this playbook from Colorado for what works and what doesn't work. So we brought that back to New Zealand, and then I managed to rope in Accenture, who have an economics unit, because I figured no one's going to argue against a Fortune 500 business that's got an economics unit that writes a plan that says, yes, Queenstown, you can do it. So armed with what the successful and unsuccessful tech towns have done in the Rockies, and armed with a hard set of economic forecasts, we set about raising money from the corporate sector.
So how much have you raised, and how much will you need to meet your 20% of GDP by 2043?
Well, we need about $1 million a year to run this tech development agency.
$1 million New Zealand?
Kiwi, so it's
Kiwi.
like $3 Singapore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can hear Tim laughing from here. So we need about $1 million Kiwi dollars a year, and what we've done is we've gone out and we've got a bank, an energy company, Accenture, our own firm. I think my partner John Moore, who's patiently helping fund this, is over there somewhere. We led it. We got a tertiary training institute. We just signed the largest law firm. We just signed a telco today. We're getting each of them to stump up with 5 years of funding. So we got our first year, 5 years, pretty much in the bag.
So you got 5 million already?
Well, we've just about got to $1 million a year, so we're going pretty well.
Okay.
It's kind of chump change, but not. We're looking for a CEO. We had 204 applicants. We're down to our last 3. And it's a place that everyone wants to go. It is, I would encourage you to go to Queenstown. It's very cool.
So of the 3 that you're considering, what do they have? Like, what would be the qualities of a CEO to transform a tourism town, which is absolutely stunning, by the way? And I couldn't see my niece for 4 years as well, because she lives there.
Really?
And so I feel it, So what are the qualities of a CEO that's needed?
You've got to be...
the last 3.
You're kind of a super person because you've got to have a strategic vision. So, and you've got to have high EQ. Now, let's break these down. The strategic vision, right now we're doing what I call throwing spaghetti at the wall. We're experimenting with different industry sectors and clusters that we want to build, asking ourselves, so we're assembling, I'll give you an example, on the 31st of October, we're bringing 20 cybersecurity CEOs and CISOs into town. We're literally throwing spaghetti at the wall asking, can we turn this into a cybersecurity hub? Then we'll do clean tech, we'll do travel tech. So a person's got to have a very strategic mind as you work your way through that. And then they've got to have, I would say, a lot of EQ, because you've got to be able to treat the young first-time startup person who's really keen but needs a lot of help. And you've got to be able to relate to the CEO of a Fortune 500 tech company who arrives by a private jet just as well. And both of those are there. We've got them flying in.
Okay. So how much are you paying them?
Well, we're negotiating that right now. Not much. Like, I do this clearly for free. In fact, we do it. It's more than for free. We're paying to do it.
Okay.
People don't do this for the money. It's about making a difference.
Absolutely, because you got this higher purpose, don't you? So you should be able to sort of tap into some really, really bright people.
Oh, we've got
who
great
want to
people.
give back, right?
I can't even keep up with the people in my LinkedIn account. I get these messages every day from people saying, "Hi, I co-founded Google this or Microsoft that, and I want to help you."
All right. So we've looked at the rosy side, and you've been able to get at least to 5 million, which you say is chump change, but it will keep you going. But what are the challenges? Because New Zealand is similar to Singapore, right? Small market, small population, but Singapore has location advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, that place is so remote.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good thing.
How do you overcome the tyranny of distance? How do you attract young talent to come to this hip town to work as,
Well, it's got
tech hub?
Okay, you can mountain bike, you can hike, you can ski, you can snowboard.
But nothing happens at night.
Vibrant nightlife, yeah, that is wrong. It's a crazy nightlife, actually. You'll be surprised.
All right.
No, young people love it. It's an absolute magnet. Look, it's first to wake up. So you can work for an American company and work right through the American day. If you start at 7 or 8 in the morning, if you're prepared to stay at night, you can speak to Europe. It's right next to Australia, which is a much bigger market. We've got a completely free market, no visas required, etc. So it's actually not bad as a location, and it's safe. No bombs.
Absolutely, and it's absolutely beautiful. So you got to look at clusters, right? So if you're looking at clusters now, what are the clusters that you're going to bet on? Is it medical? Is it green tech?
We're starting with cybersecurity because,
Cybersecurity.
For those of you who have been attacked, which is probably everyone in the room, you'll pay anything to get them out when they're in your platform. So we're throwing spaghetti against the wall, checking on whether we can make cyber work. Next will be clean tech. There is a plan to have tourism in Queenstown carbon zero by 2030. They need help. Travel tech we're looking at as well. Not all of these will work, but we've got to throw spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks.
Right. So shall we ask the audience, how many of them would like to go to Queenstown to work in the tech hub of Queenstown? Do you see a few people?
Oh, yes, good. Well done.
You need to do a better job, Roger. Okay. All right. So rapid fire. One thing that you think big travel brands like Webjet, Webjet could do better in the next generation of travel?
Oh, B2C, just know their customers better, same as it's always been.
Okay. One thing the travel industry, like people in this room, could do better in preparing the next generation of talent.
Oh, well, I'm with
Talent.
Peter. So talent. Do what we're doing in Queenstown. We're training people with new skills for the future.
And what are those new skills?
We're teaching people machine learning. We're teaching them basics of AI. We're teaching them cyber skills in 3-month short courses that can be stitched together into a degree.
Right.
So we're picking the skills that are in demand and we're training them.
Fantastic. I want to wish you all the best of luck in this venture, and may I join you in Queenstown?
Please do. We'll put the barbecue on for you this evening.
Thank you, Roger.
Right, they're ready now. Let the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. Take center stage now. Let's begin. Let the show begin.